Okay, so the main thrust of this show has always been the flashbacks, and with 5 seasons down already, we didn't have much to do with Oliver. But I did not expect a Wild Dog flashback, let alone a whole episode. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing episode 13 of Arrow, Spectre of the Gun. And no, just, there's no Spectre in it. Tonight's episode actually had a special warning on it, and I find it a little ironic that we waited this long to do this, because very special issues are kind of what made Green Arrow. But either way, the episode opens up much like any other. However, they instantly do exactly what I asked them to do last week, so I'm going to, even though it couldn't possibly have affected it because of how long in the past they tape it, I'm totally going to take credit for that team up. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. After last week's Firestorm effect cutting Ragman out, we're down a member of the team, and this is when, oh god, no. This is going to be a political episode. I thought it was going to be drugs. No, not gun control. Oh boy, don't get political, don't get political, don't get political. Okay, so Team Arrow is having we'll call it discussion about exactly what rights and what wrongs there are. But the whole thing is a mass shooting as well. And then we have Vigilante coming in. And Vigilante is once again one of those things that I can at least focus on without feeling political, because it's one of those things that the show just does oh so horrible. Who gets to decide who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, who's the hero and who's the villain? Because remember, Wild Dog shoots people too! Vigilante asks the question, exactly who is a vigilante and who isn't? Well, at the end of the day, we know that carrying guns doesn't make you a bad guy in this show, and we know that killing people is totally acceptable when there's the right reason. So we have the problem of, well, who gets to decide, and who's the bad guy? But I have to hand it to them. As much as they don't do well with having that issue, they actually managed to do pretty decently on the gun issue, at least for most of the episode. All things considering, they made pretty good points of making sure that there were people on both sides of the argument. And you know what? It's a hard argument. The best part of the episode for me is when they said, hey, look, it's complicated. It's not something that Green Arrow can solve. Because realistically, superheroes have their limits. And you know what? They run into this sort of thing when they try to go beyond their limits. Superheroes can stop a bad guy. They can't stop all the bad guys. They can just do so much. And you know what? Last week I took a pot shot at the DC movies by saying that maybe these writers should pay attention. This week I'm going to say these writers should pay attention. It's handled as a gray area. They even have two characters that are police officers on the show, and they both were on different sides of it. They had the fact that Felicity, for most of the episode, stayed completely neutral. And they had the fact that Oliver himself had to admit it was complicated. It's not something they can solve. So my hat goes off to them for dealing with one issue like an adult. As part of it, Mr. Terrific makes an argument that I wish that all comic book fans would understand. At some point, we stopped discussing things civilly and just got to the point where we took up sides and sat down, I was right, you were wrong, and argued. And you know what? That's what comic book fans do. Are you a DC or Marvel guy? Are you a modern or a vintage guy? We're very tribal in that way. But speaking of one of those things where people just pick sides, we still have this new Black Canary. And you know what? I'm still liking the way they're doing the character. I know that there's still people that are hurt about the idea that Laurel's not coming back. But all in all, I think that they chose a good replacement. And so far, I'm not liking her as much as I like Sarah, but Sarah had quite a few seasons to grow on me, so I have to say, so far so good. And then we have the whole district attorney thing. The fact that the assistant district attorney here was helping out and was refusing to stay in the hospital because he's a tough guy, I think was supposed to be a very clever foreshadowing of who he really is. And by very clever, I mean like hitting you over the head with the clue by four. Yes, clue by four, not two by four. So, I'm kind of curious if maybe they have something planned as a way to change and that he's not vigilante just because they think it's too obvious at this point? Probably not. They're probably just overcompensating. At the end of the episode, though, we have the full origin of Wild Dog and then the very sad moment with Mayor Oliver Queen. Now, it's a comic book show. It's a TV show. TV shows problems get solved at the end of the hour or the end of the half hour, depending on the length of the episode. Some of them might stretch it out a little. In the real world, problems don't get solved that way. And I know that. But every once in a while, it's nice to have an uplifting story like this, where the problem does just get solved. I don't even know what to say. I don't want this to get too far off track, so I'm going to just end it here with I'd like you to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to hear more of my insane ramblings about stories and less about politics, I'd like you to please give me a hand and help me build this community. And thank you for walking with me through this very special episode of Arrow and the heart of the stories we tell. Thanks for watching.